This is Hot Walk Academy. My name is Mingjin Tong. Today we are making the ever popular Dan Dan noodles. It's a fantastic dish. It's got a sauce on the bottom and noodles in the center and with a pork topping. I think you're really gonna love it. If you haven't tried it before, cook along with me. We wanna help you master your kitchen. Let's cook. Okay, so we are all set up for Dan Dan noodles. Let me walk you through the ingredients. We've got here canola oil. This is our coarse kosher sea salt. We've got a landing bowl for our aromatics. The aromatics we're using today is gonna be ginger root, and we'll be grating that with our Kyocera ceramic ginger grater. Great tool. If you don't have one of these, definitely get one. It's worth the investment. We've also got our garlic that we'll be using. We're gonna be using some green onion or scallion and mincing that small. Our cilantro is actually just gonna be for a topping. We'll do that in a little bit. For the pork mixture, we've got 1 pound of pretty fatty ground pork, which I like. That fat is gonna add a lot, especially because our sauce is gonna be a little bit acidic. So this is gonna help match that acidity in those noodles. And this product here, this is called suimiyacai. Now, literally in Chinese, it means rice sprouts. However, I think modern day, because of here we are in the US, this product is made from preserved mustard greens. Definitely indispensable for this dish. Go pick it up. It always comes in a foil pack in the refrigerated section of your Asian market. A great product. It is mustard greens that is sui, which means it's been cut into little pieces and preserved. Quite salty, great flavor. Also, for our noodles, this is a Taiwanese Style You Mien. Literally oil noodle, not made with the oil. However, you do oil it after you use it. I'm not sure exactly the etymology. If you do, let me know in the comments below. Why is it called You Mien? This is a thoroughly Taiwanese style noodle. In fact, my family who are Chinese living in Taiwan, they would say, oh, Taiwanese people eat that. I thought we were Taiwanese, but apparently Taiwanese people love this kind of noodle. It is an amazing texture. Another variety that you can pick up would be this one here. Comes in a big box, and right there it says Taiwan You Mien, Taiwanese Yo noodles. Mien is noodles in Chinese. And here, I just want to point out, what is this? Q, Q, Q. In Taiwanese language, when you say QQ, it means that is the sound that we feel on our teeth when we are chewing that texture noodle. So that is an adjective that describes the noodle texture that we're going for. It's the same adjective that you would find for boba tea. So when you are having boba and those tapioca balls have that nice toothsome feel, you could describe that as QQ as well. For our sauce, we've got several elements. Now, I'm gonna make a differentiation between the sauce that we're making and some of the finishing toppings that we're putting on. So for our sauce, we've got this black vinegar. This product, you could think of it as balsamic. However, the flavor profile is quite different. It's a lot more mellow, and it's actually a little bit sweeter than balsamic vinegar would be. This is a great product to keep on hand for your pantry. This here is soy sauce, and this, boy, this is the king of the condiments. This is Lao Ganma, spicy chili crisp, direct from China, a wonderful product. If you have not had this before, you're really gonna love this. Go get yourself a bottle of this Lao Ganma. Here we have our homemade peanut sesame butter. Now, the traditional Dan Dan noodle sauce does have this sesame sauce in it, or a sesame paste, not peanut sesame. I am substituting today because I do like the flavor. However, it really is up to you if you want to add this sauce or not. I believe you can have an authentic Dan Dan noodle without sesame. You can debate me if you like, no problem. Let me know in the comment section below. And then finally, when we are all done and we're about to eat, we are gonna put on these 3 elements. Number 1 is this Szechuan peppercorn oil. Now, without having a peppercorn oil in your Dan Dan noodle, Some people would, I think, rightly say, hey, that's not really dan dan noodle because you don't have that Szechuan peppercorn in there. So this oil is going to impart that numbing flavor. It's just a great, really great oil as a topping. And here we have some white pepper directly from Taiwan. This product is so fragrant, has such a particular Taiwanese flavor, especially to me. And we're going to sprinkle that on our finished product. And then we will cut up this cilantro and we'll sprinkle it on when we serve it. So let's go ahead and get going. The first thing we're going to do is we will grate our ginger. Let's go ahead and do that right into our landing bowl. The reason I love this is because this particular grater has this great silicone tip and a silicone handle. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and grate that ginger. You don't need to remove the skin. It will be just fine. And for a pound of pork, I've got here about 1 ounce of ginger root, and I'm gonna go ahead and put probably all of that in there. And look at just how incredibly juicy that is. So much juice coming out of that ginger. We're gonna keep all of that and add that to our pork mixture. So let's go ahead and keep rubbing that off here. And I'm gonna turn that around and try to finish the rest of it. Look at how easily that just breaks down. Okay, when your ginger is all grated, the next thing you want to do is your green onion. And for this, what we're going to do is I'm just going to cut off the end and compost that. Sometimes these green onion, the ends can be really, really big. I don't necessarily want them that big. I'm going to just draw my knife right through it here to get rid of some of that size, to make it a little bit smaller. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this in half. And I'm gonna do a mince. Now, here's a little bit of knife technique here. What I want you to do is fingernails down, and you're gonna use this particular knuckle to be the guide for your knife, okay? So, just like that. Don't go fast, make it accurate, speed will come, it's not a competition, all right? Okay, once your green onion is minced, let's go ahead and put that into our aromatics bowl with our ginger. And next is gonna be our garlic. For garlic, I'll probably do, let's say 4 or 5 cloves should be enough. Set that off to the side. And again, in order to peel your garlic quickly, efficiently, hold your knife parallel to the board and just give it a nice pat. And it will crush it. And when it crushes, that skin becomes very easy to remove. Let's go ahead and take all that skin off, and then we are gonna mince it. All right. After we get these all peeled, we're gonna mince it. And what we want is we want the garlic and the scallion to be roughly the same size. I am gonna cut off some of the hard ends here to get rid of those. And from here, just gonna rough cut it into the same size as my scallion. I don't mind if these garlic pieces are a little bit big because they are gonna cook down in our pork mixture pretty well and they will soften up. They won't be spicy anymore. Okay. You can use your cleaver as a bench scraper, and we'll put that into our aromatics bowl as well. And while we're here, I'm gonna go ahead and use my knife and board. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just cut my cilantro just real small. And the reason we're doing this, we're gonna leave it on the board. This is gonna be a final topping for our dan dan noodle a little bit later. So we'll just leave that on the board right there. While we're here, I'm also gonna go ahead and mix up the sauce that we're gonna be using later on in at the end when our noodles are boiled. So for here, for our sauce, we're gonna be using 4 parts. Black vinegar, soy sauce, and lao gan ma. And essentially, this is what the elements are playing here. The black vinegar is gonna provide a bit of a sweetness, but a lot of acidity. And there is a lot of aged, developed flavor happening in that black vinegar. So don't be afraid to use a lot. I'm gonna use about 2 tablespoons here of that black vinegar. And then I'm gonna do an equal part of soy sauce. Soy sauce, of course, is salty, but also rich and nutty. And again, it has that aged flavor. We'll do about the same quantity of soy sauce there. And then for the lao gan ma, it is fried chilies, but it also has some soybeans in there. And I'm gonna use a nice big scoop, probably 2 scoops like this. And that will make up my dan dan noodle sauce. So I will stir it together like that. And again, that's the 3 elements together. Now, for those of you that like it, you can add your peanut sesame butter right into your sauce. I'm gonna keep it separate so we can add it a little bit later. So our sauces are ready. This is the vinegar, soy sauce, lao gan ma mixture. This will go at the bottom of the bowl. And again, if you would like to add that sesame paste, sesame butter in, you can do that as well. So let's set these off to the side and let's go over to the stove where we are going to fry our aromatics. We're gonna fry our 1 pound of pork in it, as well as our suimiyacai. Okay, once your prep is done, I've got my water boiling and I'm gonna throw my noodles in just a minute. These you mien tend to cook very quickly, so I'm not gonna do it just quite yet. For now, I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of oil. Now, I don't need a lot of oil because the pork itself has a lot of fat in it, which is gonna render out and turn into oil. But I do need some to get myself started for all of my aromatics. Again, this is grated ginger. This is also garlic, and I've got here my green onion. So let's go ahead and throw that in. And let's let that cook. Okay, once my aromatics are in, I'm gonna give that a stir. And here's the goal. I want these aromatics to actually be a part of the pork mixture. It's not that I'm trying to flavor the oil. That's not what I'm doing this time. Here, I actually want these aromatics to be tender so we can eat them with the pork mixture. And the main flavoring is gonna be the aromatic pork as well as the suimiyacai, the preserved mustard greens. So I'm gonna let that go a little bit. I am at this point gonna add just a little bit of salt as well. Not too much, because the fermented mustard greens or the preserved mustard greens are quite salty, so we don't want to add too much salt right now. I'm gonna let that go. In the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and take my you mien and I'm gonna go ahead and boil my portion for it. My goal with the noodles is to get them to a place where they are QQ toothsome to the feel. All right, these aromatics, they are smelling just fantastic and looking great. I'm gonna go ahead and make a space here and I'll introduce my 1 pound of ground pork. After that's in, I'm gonna go ahead and crank my heat because I've got a lot of cold product. Again, if you have a lot of cold product, you can add a lot more heat to your product. And to prevent any burning, I'm gonna lift those aromatics off the wok into my cold pork. All right, this is gonna take a lot of heat to get this going. I got one eye on my noodles. And I am gonna add just another pinch of salt. Now, the preserved mustard greens are salty. If you don't know what an ingredient tastes like, don't add it to your food. Always taste it and see what you think. It'll help you to know how much salt should I add in addition to my mustard greens. Just a bit here. I want my heat all the way up and it's not gonna burn. All of that product is absorbing all of that heat and it's really not a problem. All right, my noodles are probably done. Let's take a look. If I lift them up, I can see, and if you look here, look at the bend of that particular noodle. You can tell by that particular bend that the noodle is still hard on the inside. If it's draped over completely, where the bend of the noodle is very tight, you'll know that it's very close to being done. But for now, I can tell both by the vibration that I'm getting through my tongs, as well as the bend of the noodle. It's not yet there, so I'm gonna give that probably another minute or two. But you wanna be very careful. When you're eating noodles, always pay attention to the texture of the noodle. Noodle texture matters a great deal. All right, let's let this pork continue to cook. I've got a lot of liquid now coming out. I'll see if I can show that to you. Yep, all of that is both a mixture of oil as well as water, and I want to let that steam out so that the fat begins to fry the pork. Let's check back on our noodles. All right, look at that. The bend of the noodle now is a lot more smaller angle. Let's take a taste just to see what it is. On the very inside of the noodle, I still taste a little bit of toughness, so I'm gonna let that continue to cook. But as you cook noodles, you should be testing your noodles about every 15 seconds. And yes, that's eating a lot of noodles. But what happens is you begin to build a graph in your mind. How hard is it over how much time? And you can begin to predict when that noodle is gonna be done. I think I've got about one more minute on my noodle. In the meantime, I've got my pork going. Most of the water vapor has now evaporated, which means the fat has rendered and turned into oil. And what's happening is that the oil is beginning now to fry that protein. That frying action is gonna cause the Maillard reaction to happen, which means the pork will begin to change and caramelize, both in color as well as flavor. And that's really what we want. We wanna fry that pork in its own fat. We don't wanna boil it in the water. We're gonna let that fry just a minute, and I think my noodles are probably done. And you know what? Just judging by it, I think they are perfect. Let's go ahead and pull those out. These are gonna be wonderful. Now, while my pork fries, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and begin plating. Why? These noodles are still at the temperature that they were at in the water, just a little bit cooler. I want them to start cooling down. I'm gonna give this a scrape. So, I'll put some of my sauce in. Probably 1.5 scoops. And right here, I'll take all that noodle and I'm gonna go ahead and plate it right on top. In the meantime, my pork has fried sufficiently. It's starting to stick to the bottom, which is fantastic. I like that protein stuck there on the bottom. And I'm gonna go ahead and open up my suimiyacai. Now, this is a very strong product. I'm only gonna use about half of the bag. Here it is. And let's go ahead and get that out. And again, cold product in a hot pan reduces the temperature, and that's perfectly fine. So here we go. I'm gonna scrape the bottom of that pan to get all that burned on protein off. And I'm gonna mix the suimiyacai into my pork mixture. And boy, the smell is just fantastic. Now you can eat the preserved mustard green raw, All we're really doing is heating it up as we incorporate it into the pork. Let's just break all that mustard green up. And right there, we are pretty much done. So let's go ahead and finish our plating. All right, we've got our sauce in the bottom of the noodle, and we've got our noodle on top, and now we've got this wonderful pork texture or pork mixture. We're gonna add that right on top. And let's go ahead and finish it up. Again, if you want some peanut sesame, you can add it. You can add your sauce. You know what, just for us, I'll add it right over to the side in case you wanted to have that mixed into your bowl. We'll put some cilantro just to give it a touch of green and some interest. And we're gonna top it off with these two items here. This is your white pepper. Just a bit of that. And of course, it would not be Dan Dan noodles if you didn't have your Szechuan pepper oil. So let's go ahead and finish it off with this oil. All right, there is your Dan Dan noodle. This is a fantastic dish, full of amazing flavors, and when we plate it, we eat it right away. That's how these noodles are meant to be served. I hope you have cooked along with us. I hope you have enjoyed yourself. I hope you've learned something. Please like and share and subscribe. That would really help us continue making these videos. And we want to help you continue to love wok and Asian cooking. Thanks for watching.